So that's me, Venkat Rangan. So I currently help technology leaders. I help them to transform into CEOs. And why I do that, maybe 20, 30 minutes into the talk, you'll understand why I'm calling it as a founder catalyst. You will understand the startup journey. So, in the spirit of being direct, those of you, if you're joining, or you should tell people who are joining late, the best of the session in this talk is actually in the beginning. So, in the spirit of being direct, I'll come straight to this point. When we talk about startups, I think each one of you, if you're talking about or thinking about being founders, thinking about being an entrepreneur, thinking about starting your own business, I think these three, and there may be more in this list. I've just picked up three that came to my mind. These three questions should be in the top of your mind. If not, then I think you're living in a cave. There are, is this a good time? Should I be starting a business now? I'm even finding it difficult getting a job, getting placed. There are few companies coming in here, and even my seniors have got offers, but their joining dates have been delayed. So, is this in this climate? Should I be thinking about starting a business? And you should definitely ask these questions. You should have this doubt. One of the things I always keep telling people, which I've realized personally, is that you should really be stupid. And yes, I mean the word stupid to start a business, especially in a booming market like India. We'll cover it again, but just leave that thought. So, in my talk, I want to split it into three sections. First is where are we currently, the current scenario, very briefly. Then get into my experience. Again, I will not go into big detail because I'm not a Bill Gates, I'm not a Mark Zuckerberg. You will want to see a movie or read about, but just what I've learned. Lastly, I'll talk about what you can do from here to wherever you want to go. So three broad pillars or three sections is what I want to talk. Coming back, is this a good time for you to start a business? Is this a good time for me to start a business? And there are multiple things that can go wrong in the world have gone wrong. We just came out of a pandemic. We thought worse is behind us. And probably the way things are happening today, the pandemic days were looking much better in terms of economy and business. It was bad personally when we lost our loved ones and all that. But then there is two wars going around the world. When we thought European soil wars are not going to happen, and whenever any of the industry events I go in the recent weeks, recent months, everybody is talking about an investment winter. What do you mean by an investment winter? New investments, angel fundings are getting slow. If you have already got a Series A funding, probably you'll get Series B, but you haven't got around, then it's very unlikely you're going to get around. And if you don't have runway in your funding, it's going to be really tough for you. And the VCs and PE firms are talking about conserving your funding runway for next 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. That's what people are talking. This is not a slowdown in investment that's going to get over in few months. Why is the scenario the last 3 years before 23, especially 19, 20, 21 were excellent years when it came for investments? You had literally, you opened the tap, funding was pouring down from all sides into India and all the emerging economies, especially into India. Startups, billions of dollars have come into. But right now, those are not happening. Still funding is happening, but they are slow compared to earlier. So there's 2 hours, a pandemic behind us, investment winter. And just then we thought, okay, this is fine. We also have this chat GPT coming last year. And then everybody is talking about machines taking over all the jobs. Companies are talking about firing people. The other day I was sitting in a talk where a big, large media company was talking about getting rid of all their editors, video editors. So where they were using AI tools to cut into sports clips. You have a 2 hour sport clips. Nobody has the patience to watch those 2 hours of video recording of a sports event. You just want to see it in like your Insta Reels kind of format. And that was done by video editors. Now those jobs are being eliminated because the machines are able to do those sharp cuttings much better along with captions. So is this a good time for me to start or think about a business? Adding to that, everywhere around the world, policymakers are coming after big tech and technology company. When I started business 25 years back, probably one business where we were just after I started my business in 1996. 91, India started liberalizing, opening economy. You move, almost all of you, then Professor Shiram, you wouldn't have been born in those days of red tape and license Raj and all that. But then in 96, one industry where government had least touch, or government was not bothering, leaving it to our own self, was technology industry. But today, everywhere, I'm not talking about licensing, I'm not talking about opening a business account, taxation and all that. I'm talking about laws, privacy laws, statutory laws, legal requirements, data storage laws, AI algorithm openness, and so on and so forth. Policymakers are coming after big tech, which also means the small, in the war between the lawmakers and the big technology companies, small innovations are always getting affected. Google today opening up their app store for third party payment gateways. India banning TikTok about 3 years back. And more of those bans are going to come, whether in India or abroad the world. Most of our software companies are looking at abroad or outside India, Western market. So those laws are becoming ever more stricter. You have data residency laws. We know what happened with the old TikTok and Donald Trump and all that saga. Those things are only tip of the iceberg. More laws are going to come on how do we process data, privacy, so on and so forth. In this climate, this is a good time to start business. So again, park this in your thoughts. That's where we are today. And still, you do want to start a business. Over the years, I've heard from people multiple reasons why they want to start a business. Almost 26 years, like I said, I've been in running a business or coaching, mentoring companies, investing in companies to do business. When I meet these founders, there are multiple reasons why somebody wants to start a business, why somebody wants to be an entrepreneur. And this is not a list. I could go on and fill this entire slide with hundreds of reasons why do you want to be an entrepreneur. One, you like to control your destiny. You think all businesses are evil. You want to become rich, or you want to make others rich if you are noble. You sick of coding and writing. You want flexible timings. Some of them, these are actually an ideal utopia scenario. Only when you start a business, you realize many of these are not really true, and you have to really, really work hard to make them true. But these are reasons why you might want to consider about starting your own business. Maximize returns. You think I have a great talent on doing something, you want to maximize returns. For me, I will talk about my background in a bit, but I was very clear even during my college days in early 90s. I did my engineering from 92 to 1996. I came from a business family, so I was very clear that I don't want to work for someone. I want to own my own destiny. I want to make a change. So those were the reasons why I started a business. But there could be a number of reasons. Why do you want to start a business? And some of them may not be so clear also. You may not be able to articulate that also. There's nothing wrong. But you have a gut feel that you want to start a business. As Dr. Abdul Kalam said, a dream is not something that you have when you sleep. A dream is something that doesn't allow you to sleep. So that is the state you should be if you want to start a business more than anything else. This is one slide I always like to show when I talk about entrepreneurship, starting a business to students. Who's an entrepreneur? There could be multiple definitions, but this is my favorite slide to communicate who's an entrepreneur. You are at the top end of the quadrant. You are everybody. You are an inventor, you are an investor, you are an engineer, you are a manager. And most often I'll say you'll also the office assistant. You have to make coffee. If water doesn't come in your restrooms, you have to be worried because you are the founder. There is nobody else to blame. In a corporate company, in a college, in an institution, in a government office, there will be always somebody to blame that water doesn't come, electricity doesn't come, my fan doesn't run, my light is not there, my internet is not there. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a founder, a co-founder, all these functions roll up to you. You have to do. If your people are working late nights, you have to go out and buy food. There are many nights, even as recently in one of the events we were conducting, we were in a remote place from Chennai, about 50 kilometers, and I had to drive down, go to the nearest, there's not a coffee shop, a tea shop, buy some biscuits, buy some breads and coffee because people were working late night in the event venue. You have to do that. You can't, yes, you can delegate, you can have n number of people, but when they don't do it, the buck stops with you. You have to ensure. If you don't get, again, a very simple example, I'm trivializing, but I want to get the point very direct to you, that if your people are working late and they need fuel, they need food, you have to get those coffee, you have to make the coffee. There is nobody else. Otherwise, you're going to lose 10 people's productivity, and that's going to affect you as an investor. And that's going to affect you as a manager in your timeline to deliver products. So get this in your mind that as an entrepreneur, you do multiple functionality. We'll go through that in a detail. Who do you deal with as a founder? You deal with all these people. In the left are your employees or your staff or the core people, your stakeholders, and on the right are external people. I have named customer as your first for obvious reasons. Like Mahatma Gandhi said, a customer is not an interruption. He is the very purpose of your business. So customer comes from, because without customer, you're only running a hobby. You're just spending time. It's just a passion. It's not a business. A business has to have customers. A business has to make money. A business has to make profit. If not, it's not a business. There are multiple people, very good YouTube videos you can watch on that topic. But customer comes first. So these are so many people. You have to deal with customers. You have to deal with your accountants. Tax and debt are two things which you can't get away with. So bookkeeping in India is really. I have so many stories. I think some of them I've shared to Professor Sriram also on Indian taxation. Things have become a lot better. When I started business like 26 years back, I had to get a import-export license before I can sell a software abroad. It's called an IEC code. You have to go to a government office, get a number just like your PAN card before you can export or even think about exporting software. And only with that, you could go and get an internet connection. So those were in the early days of India. But then taxation today, even with GSTs and your laws, and with more companies, more countries coming after these export loopholes and all that, taxation is really tough. Just to give you one example, there's an income tax case I fought where we were right, or my chartered accountant said that we are right and we didn't deduct a particular tax at source. And we fought a case all the way to income tax, about almost 12, 13 years. And I had about 1 crore of my money. I'm talking about early 2007. And we won this case in 2017, 18. About 10 years, 1 crore of my money was stuck in income tax department for something which we did right, which were right in the books, and we were ratified as correct 10 years back in the income tax tribunal, and we won the case. We got it with refund, but 1 crore of my money was stuck with income tax department, which I could have put it in my business and grown my business 10 times. But that's what is in India. So you have to be really careful. So as an entrepreneur, it's your job. You can't say I had an accountant, I had a chartered accountant, I had an external tax advisor. He said I did. No. Government, at the end of the day, it's your business, your responsibility. So that's how things work. So you have to deal with accountants, you have to keep your books, you have to deal with marketing, you have to manage your engineers, consultants. Yes, of course, the coffee example, you have office assistants. They are the very difficult people to find and retain, and they are very important also, like everybody else. An office assistant or office admin also plays a very crucial role. Your family and friends, because they are the ones who you are living with, who you are very close, you love, and they also influence your decision. At the end of a very bad day, you need your friends and family to give you support. So those are your internal stakeholders. On your right, you have your bankers, your investors, your authorized money, your lawyers, recruiters, so on and so forth. So all these people. So if you're somebody, an introvert, you say, oh boss, I can sit and type code, let me start a business. I think you have to relook at the whole thing. You have to deal with all these people, even if you are a couple of or a small time entrepreneur, all these people you have to deal with. Again, the idea is not to scare you with, but then this is reality. And you need to start enjoying and learning to work with all these people. I learned it the hard way around. That's why I'm starting this, that if you are thinking about a business, think about how do you learn to work with all these people. I didn't learn. I'm an engineer. So I didn't learn to work with all these people. I didn't understand a single line of law or a non-disclosure agreement, or I didn't even know when I graduated in 96, I was not taught what is a profit and loss. I was not told what is a balance sheet. I don't even know how tax was computed. Okay, so I had to learn all these hardware on, and I picked up books. Those days books were available, but today you have phenomenal amount of information on there in the YouTube and elsewhere you can learn. But ensure you learn about all these topics. So it's not about funding. I see a lot of youngsters just focusing on the funding part, how to work with VCs, how to do a pitch deck, missing out all these other functionalities that it takes to run a successful business. Now that's the first part. Now the second part about myself, I'll keep it very brief. Like I said, I graduated in '96 from Madras University doing my electronics and communication. Even in the last, in my second year, third year, I was doing freelance consulting. In those days, I'm talking about 94, 95. India probably didn't have web like we know today. There was dial-up network and all that. So I know a bit of web, and I started learning HTML and all that. I was doing consulting. I was programming in Clipper and inventory management for a travel company, for a car taxi company, cab company as they were called in those days. So I developed a software in Clipper. It's a database management platform in those days, those years. I was doing those consulting, and then '96 there was no finite movement. I just '96 I said, okay, let me do a company. I registered, started a company, started selling what is today called as app economy applications. Those were called as free sharewares in those days. You develop an application, put it on the internet in those sites, and people paid money to buy it, and then you send them a code so they activate it and all that. Very early days of not like your SaaS or your service economy and all that today we have. Very early. That's how I started my business. Then turned it into a IT service system integrated company. I ran that for about 20 years. Then sold it to a large US company, and then ran it about $15 million combined entity as the CEO for them for the next few years. And around 2018-19, I sold my entire stake in the business. And in the last 4 or 5 years, I've been investing in companies, and I've been coaching, mentoring, guiding companies on how, especially technology leaders, on how they can become professional CEOs. So that's my short story. But coming back, I came from a business family. My grandfather started a publishing business way back in 1929 in Chennai. Like I said, so seeing my father run his business for 50 years, the publishing business, I was very clear that I'll always be running my own business. So when I graduated, after my freelance stint, I started my own business, and then the rest of the story I've shared with you. I was an average student academically. I never scored. I probably just scored centum in probably 2 subjects. I'm only sharing you that because rest of the other marks were pretty bad. So, and I spent most of the time in computer labs and learning coding, picking up books, learning and all that. Somehow I never had interest to do higher studies. I thought post graduations, especially MBAs, were fashion in those days, as not something you need to do business. Real life experience was more valuable. And I started straight away. I didn't work anywhere. I just started my business. There is pros and cons. We'll try to cover them a little as we move along. But then that's the journey I did. Luckily for me, I got opportunity to do public speaking, event management, fundraising in my college days, and just after my college days, thanks to a couple of mentors who I had. There was a magazine called Sys Reader in Chennai, which allowed me to write early. This was a coding magazine. Program code, source code used to be printed in paper, and you used to see it and type. Those were the days. And I was given a chance as a student writer to write in those magazines, and then as a professional writer to write a couple of things. And there I also got an opportunity to conduct events for corporates, which Sys Reader was doing. So that gave me a lot of exposure on working with corporates, working with EDP department as they were called in those days, and then giving them a proposal, doing workshops for them and all that. And also in my college, I conducted events where I had to do fundraising and all that. So the reason I'm highlighting this, apart from many other things in my early college days, these were functions or roles that I was able to do, or skills that I could pick up, which were very useful when I then did my business. Because in business, it's all about public speaking, speaking with your customer, speaking in forums, and also doing fund management events and all that. One of the other things this led to me is for Microsoft to notice me, and I was nominated as a Microsoft regional director around '98. This involves I talk in many of their events, and I work with their customers very closely. There are about 100 RDs. I'm not a Microsoft employee, never was. but it's already titled Microsoft renews every few years, every couple of years, and I've been RD for almost 24, 25 years. So that's about myself, just to give you an idea. And it's been 27 years, and I've sold my business. I did a startup during pandemic days, a fintech startup, which some of your students who are also came have worked as interns in that. So that's about myself. Switching to what I've seen in my experience, and then after this we'll go on to the last section, what I think you can do. Two things, like I said, you today, or at least the last 10 years of India, if you were there, really you should be stupid to start a business, because the success we see, the billion-dollar company of your Zogos, Freshdesk, or your Chargebee, Zomato, or Ola, Uber, whatever you see, those are exceptions. For each of those success, there have been many, many, many failures. That's the whole point of a startup, whole point of being an entrepreneur, whole point of being a founder. If it's predictable, it's a job. If it, or the thing it becomes unpredictable, is where it's a entrepreneurship. A mentor used to always say for me, as you grow up in your career, your job or your business, the uncertainty increases, certainty comes down. You're working as a job, you're working as a car driver or an assistant. What you have to do each minute of your day is told to you by somebody else. It's very predictable. People can tell you at this time where will you be, what will you be doing, and what is your salary will come on time. You will get increments every year if you do a good job. All that is told. So certainty. But as you grow up, you start as an engineer or an intern, you're told what you need to do. And as you grow, become a team lead, module lead, you have to start managing people. You have to start managing uncertainty. Customer suddenly calls and says for a change. Two people have left, two people are on leave, two people are on sick. A particular API you wanted to work doesn't work. You have to come up with a solution. All those problems comes as you become leads. Then you are a manager. More of those teams. You are a department head. You are a COO. You are a CEO. You're a founder. You're an entrepreneur. Problem keeps coming more. Uncertainty keeps increasing. Because as a founder, when you start a business, nothing is certain. Where are you going to get funds? Who are your customers? How much money you have bank? How many people are going to join? How many people are going to resign? Nothing you know. Everything is uncertain. So you have to be really stupid, like I said, if you want to get into uncertainty. What does it also means? That you should be somebody who enjoys uncertainty. As engineers, we are taught to work with certainty. We become uncomfortable the minute it becomes uncertain. But you have to get used to this world of entrepreneurship where all this comes. You have to risk taking. The whole point of doing a business is risk taking. And in India, you get a lot of free advice. And people, when they say give you advice in good intention, they also bring an air of pessimism. You are already in some self-doubt, but they will come and tell you, oh, this business is not going to work. I've seen 100 such business which didn't work. Or I've seen a cousin's business who tried something, it didn't work. See, just because a business doesn't work for your neighbor, your friend, doesn't mean it doesn't work for you. There are only very, very few businesses. If you're going to start selling video cassettes or sell CDs today, probably it's a bad idea. Even that you can make it work, like vinyl records. Today, it's become a premium item. 2,500 rupees is a vinyl record, an LP record that you put it on a record player and play. That's a very demand item. But then if you're selling a cassette or a video cassette or a CD or a gift card, birthday cards and all that, that's probably a bad business. Very straight away you can say it's a bad business. Other than that, every other business, actually, it's about what you put into it, which will turn it into a success or a failure. There are going to be long, difficult moments. You have to have the energy to work long hours. Earlier we said one of the reasons you want to start a business is you want to set your own time. Believe me, if you're starting a business, your time is not controlled by you. Your employees' times are controlled by you, but then your time is not controlled by you. It's a customer. You get a customer call, a potential call, late nights from the US, you have to take it. Or in Australia, which is very difficult for us to work from a time perspective, you have to be awake. And the next day you have to report to office because you have to sign checks, you have to sign payments, you have to see a banker, you have to do an interview. You can't say I work late night and I'm taking this day off. There's no day off for you as an entrepreneur. In the first 15 years of my business, I hardly have taken vacations until my wife forced me to take vacations. Again, it's not a badge of honor. That's reality. Okay. So slow movements will come, but then slow movements is when you don't have business, which also means you don't have money to go on a vacation. So it's a chicken and egg problem. What is at the end of the day, if you do all this, if you ask me, Venkat, all this looks very, very tiring, very difficult. Why should I still be doing a business? It's the reward that you get when not in fulfillment, that if you start enjoying that you made a difference. When you, there are, yes, for every recruitment you do, every people you get to make them join in a team, two people or three people are going to leave, or two people are going to let you down, but then one person will come out as a star. They will come up with an innovative idea, or you will come up with something that your customer will start appreciation. Those are the moments that you will really, those are the moments that you will cherish, and those are the rewards that you get. Of course, monetary benefits is there. If you do a good job, which I'm sure you will, your business will scale, you'll make a lot of money, you can do early retirement, all that are possibility. But these are the risks. What were the tough moments for me? There are many tough moments. I don't want to go through a laundry list of them, but a couple of them I like to highlight. It's more about transitioning at every phase was the ones which were difficult for me. And those transitioning also meant I had to learn something new or let go of something. And those were the moments where my ego will say, oh, to first acknowledge I didn't know something was very difficult at each of these transitions. That's something you need to remember. You have to always, I will come to that also. You have to start to unlearn and be open to learning. That's very important. I can give you some examples rather than go through a full list. Of course, the starting moment was tough. What do I start with? And then I had to think, spend a lot of time, and then get into the mode of starting, and then starting the business, and then running a business, that transition. Then the first loan, in India, getting a bank loan without sureties are very difficult. Today, things have improved, but then still it's very, very difficult. Or you have to get it from a friend or a family. How do you go and tell them and raise money? Those are difficult moments. And for me, the first interview, I haven't attended any interview, so I didn't know how to do an interview. So I have to ask my friends, hey, how do you do an interview? And I had to read a book on how to do interviews and then interview people. More than the person I interviewed, I was feeling more pressure because I didn't know whether I'm asking the correct questions. Am I sitting correctly? Am I making the correct eye contact? Am I asking the correct, have I got the correct resume, correct person, correct salary? So many questions. So that is the first thing. More difficult than hiring the first person, which I can't even forget. The time when I had to fire my not my first employee, the employee who I fired first was extremely tiring for me. I couldn't sleep for the next many days, or many days before I communicating that decision to him. It was really, really tough. For you, if you want to become an entrepreneur, one of the litmus tests is you should be able to fire somebody. And that just meaning, it's not a rite of passage. You hire somebody and fire them next day. There has to be valid reasons. You have to go through that. And that was really tough for me. Of course, doing the first sale, doing the first project, delivering the first projects. Those were more cherishable moments, but there were a lot of anxious moments before that. And whenever I made some money and then putting back the money in the business, I took a big gamble in around 2007. Till then, we were debt free, but I took a big gamble that we'll expand to both to the US market and UK market in a big way. Hindsight, it was a very bad decision that we went in all these two markets, and we were earning in rupee. We did have US customers, but significant portion of our money were coming from India, but we then decided to spend in dollars, making 1 rupee and spending in $1, like 84 rupees today. Those days it was 40 rupees. Was itself really, really very, very difficult. Those were tough moments. And then taking a bank loan, paying off those bank loans, many tough moments like that. Again, one of the transitions I like to highlight is a moment when I decided, I was also an engineer, a CTO. I was playing multiple roles in my business. But when the business grew, after I made the first few millions, I had to take a call whether it was proving very difficult because I was sitting in my accounts, my finance, my technology decisions, architecture of projects, and also in project management, customer calls. There was only 24 hours. And I was not doing a good job doing all these or poking my nose in all these functionalities. It's not to say when you're small, you have to do all this yourself. You're not going to get help. But I'm talking about when my business was more than 100 people and more than more than a few million. That's the time I had to, but I was passionate about technology. So there was a choice that came in front of me whether I should continue to be the CTO, deciding on the software architecture, making every software architecture decisions, or should I be the CEO? One of my project managers came back and told me, Venkat, either we can do all the changes that you're suggesting, or I can ship the project on time and we'll make a profit. Which one do you want? That's when I realized I have to be more CEO of this company than a CTO. So I hired a project manager, a delivery head, and a CTO at that time, delegated a lot of my responsibilities and became overlooking the people and enabling them. So that was really, really tough, especially as an engineer, to let go of being the technologist and the architect was really tough for me. So those were some of the tough moments for me. Of course, there are many technical bets I did which didn't work out like the way I did, and selling the business. Now the last set of slides, and then I'll be very happy to take questions. We saw why the challenges of starting a business today in this climate. I kind of give you a glimpse about my experience, but we are in the third section of my talk. I still think today is the best time for you to be an entrepreneur. You might be wondering, Venkat, you spent about last 20, 25 minutes telling it's a bad time. Entrepreneurship is really tough. And now you're telling me it's the best time to be an Indian in India to be an entrepreneur. Yes, I still say comfortably or with full conviction, 100%, today is the best time for you to be an entrepreneur. Why? 4 reasons. There can be a number of reasons, but these are the 4 according to me. There is a big India advantage. We had a false start in 2003 after Vajpayee government completed its term. They called for an early elections around 2003-4 time frame. I forgot the actual time. India Shining campaign, but they failed and UPA 1 government came. There was also talked about India advantage, but then from that to today, in the last 20 years, Indian economy is multiple times. We are at striking distance of becoming a $5 trillion economy. Tamil Nadu alone, as a state, is talking about a $1 trillion economy, and so on and so forth. We have seen the India advantage, the importance, world countries, US, close ties with India, and so on and so forth. Population dividend and all that stuff. But at this moment, with the size of Indian economy, what's happening in the world, we are at a very, very big advantage. This is the best time to be in India. This is the best time to be an entrepreneur in India. Those are India advantages. Second, of course, the investment is a cycle, remember. There have been always boom and burst times. We are talking about 19, 20, 21 being the great time for money pouring into Indian enterprise. But the previous 3 years, there was a slowdown. And then 2001, after the dot-com bust, 2008, after the global recession, that was winters. I've seen 4 such cycles. Every time when there is a downtime, there is an up. As things go down, there is always, it's a sinusoidal wave. Investments go down, but then investments go up much bigger. Look at the Indian economy today. Sensex is at 71,000 plus. It's good, probably, even if it comes down, it's still going to grow. The next high for Sensex is going to be probably 80, 90, 100,000. When, I don't know, but it's certainly going to go there. So investment is always a cycle. So today you start a business with friends and family, bootstrap yourself. You're graduating in this April, May. You start a business in 2024. For your business to come to a shape, it will be 25 end or 26. That's when very likely investment will start becoming better, or it will be even better. And that time, you're not starting a business. You're already in a business and you've made it work, or you have a proof of concept. You have survived for 1.5 years in the winter. That's going to be taken as a badge of honor for you when investors look at you. So when your business wants investment around 25, 26, you will be able to take advantage of that. And also sustainability. People around the world are looking at smaller vendors, smaller companies, smaller businesses who have a sustainable, ecologically sustainable business, and they don't want to go to the large corporates. That again, in India, I think we have phenomenal advantage to invest in sustainable energy, environmentally friendly way, hiring people from rural, remote, avoiding being all the innovations that you can think of. Today is the time to do all that, and the world is waiting for these kind of businesses. So then that's also an opportunity, and it's only going to keep increasing. You've seen what happened last week in Dubai, the COP 28, where people are saying fossil fuels are being sunset. Those are extremely good advantage, and you will be able to take advantage of those in your business. Last, the big elephant in the room is artificial intelligence. We all have seen there is going to be job loss. Companies are not hiring because they don't know. Like I even quoted an example early, video editors. But then for every job that is lost due to AI, I think 5x or 10x more jobs are going to be created. And these jobs are going to be high paid jobs. Earlier, if you were starting or in a few years, you were making 10 lakhs as your salary. Today, if you are able to enhance your skills with AI, you will be able to make 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, if not 40 lakhs, or even more than that. So AI is going to help you to make more money in the same job or the same value. You are able to give your customer in a shorter time, and you'll be able to service more customers, which means more profit. And today you can start thinking about doing more things with AI, which you were not able to earlier do. So those are 4 advantages. India advantage, the new opportunities that are going to come because of AI, and investment cycle is certainly going to look better in the time when your business is ready for taking investment, and of course sustainable businesses. Before we wrap up, this is one point I like to especially address. Many people ask me, when do I start a business? Last month I was in Tycon Global and Industry Summit in Singapore, and a person working for a large bank came and asked, he's in the IT department, Venkat, last few years I've been thinking about starting a business. Should I start? And there are only 2 ways for answering it, or 2 choices. You start immediately after college, or when you get an idea, or you wait for a few years and then start. You work somewhere and then you start. There is no right or wrong answer. For me, like I said, I started my business right after college, or even in my college days, I was doing freelancing. So there's no one moment when I said, okay, I'm an entrepreneur today, because from freelancer to entrepreneurship was a gradual transition for me. So you can do that, or you can work for a few years and then start. If today in hindsight you ask what is the thing, unless your idea calls for you to immediately start a business, or there is an incubation opportunity for you where somebody is already ready to incubate you and invest business, work for somewhere or do a post graduation in a specialized area and then start a business. Okay, either you study more, equip yourself better, and that's like a rainy day. If your business doesn't work, a post graduation will really help you to get some land on a job, a parachute for you, you can say. Or if you work somewhere, it will give you the experience, and you will learn in somebody else's money what mistakes not to do. If you're working in a company and that company is poorly run, you can learn how not to run a company, and you won't do those mistakes. And in a company where you're working and learn a lot of good ways of doing things, your business can benefit out of it right away. So either of this is okay, but it's about the individual. It's about you and your co-founders. If you're forming a set of people and starting a business, what you are comfortable with. And for me, I don't think there is an eureka moment. Oh, today I have to start a business. There's nothing like that. This is another question. People again ask, should I scale my business? Should I remain small? My idea is to offer a very premium service to a very set of few people. It can never become $1 billion business. Should I start? There's nothing wrong about it. Today, there are businesses which earn huge amounts of profit, insane amount of profit in a small business that just does few million, but they make $1 million. If you're able to make a sustainable $1 million, which is about 8 crores, 10 crores in a year as profit, that's a great business to be in. Why should you be 200 million and still make $1 million or 5 million? You don't need to. Nothing wrong in making more money, but then profits at the end of the day are what is very important, and are you enjoying the ride? So you can remain niche. There are many examples we can talk about niche businesses, but I leave it for your imagination. And the other thing is grow business organically. This is the way historically business have done, where they started with one supermarket, one grocery shop, made profit, opened the next 2 streets, another grocery, then next area. They kept on growing like that. A lot of businesses. We can name so many businesses in India which have grown organically. And last, scale fast, get external funding, grow your business. There's a vegetable and fruit business in Tamil Nadu called Kovai Padamathucholai, meaning Coimbatore vegetable shop. They started with one small business in a food cart many years back, and their son has taken the business and opened branches in multiple places across Tamil Nadu, just selling fresh vegetable and fruits. Today they have raised a I think about 100-200 crores kind of funding from a PE firm to expand even more faster. For a fresh vegetables and fruits, a private equity firm is investing hundreds of crores in the business. So you can scale fast also, but that from say 40, 50, 100 shops, with this investment, they'll be able to open 1,000 shops. So there are multiple ways. As long as you are able to make profit, remaining niche is perfectly fine. You can also grow organically if your business is sustainable and you think there is a big potential 10 years, 20 years down the line. Or you can scale fast also. Technology business tend to be businesses which you want to scale very fast, because otherwise the technology will become obsolete. That's why many of the technology companies they grow very fast, they get external investor and then sell out or join a big tech company. So multiple ways. Lastly, I'd like to close with this slide and then like to take questions. So we have seen the challenges and my experiences, and then multiple ways of you running or scaling a business. Lastly, if I were to leave you with some advice, these are the 4 things I will leave you with. If you're starting a business, if you're even thinking that you want to start a business, you are somebody who's curious. Without curiosity, you can never be an entrepreneur. That is number 1. So be curious. Read about what's happening in the entire world, about your locality, your community, your state, your industry in India, everything. So be curious. Across industries also, I like to learn newspaper articles or today YouTube about multiple things, whether it is ancient history or archaeology or animal environment, because you don't know when it will be useful in a conversation. You are in a networking event, knowing about a fun ride in SC Park in US will be a good conversation starter. So be curious, be open. That's extremely important. Just because you have a post-graduation doesn't mean you know everything in the world. Just because you have a PhD in artificial intelligence doesn't mean you are the only authority in the subject. Yes, I admire and I respect your education and your talent, but then somebody else might come with a better idea. Your employees might have a better idea. Your friends might be giving you something which you can learn and do. You have to be extremely open and pick up information from anywhere. You have to be agile, because in today's world, you can't say, oh, this is the way I run my business, I'm not going to change. There's no such business today which would say, I can't change. Everything, say artificial intelligence, technology, people, Generation Alpha, you are Gen Z. Gen Alpha's buying pattern, learning pattern is extremely different. And it's only going to become, as every generation comes, your customers are next generation people. You're in EdTech, your customers will be students. They are your next generation. They will be very different. So you have to reach them in a very different way. So for which you have to be agile, you have to be open, you have to pick up wherever those informations are available. Learn, unlearn. The unlearn part is very important. We all know how to learn. Our education system teaches us how to learn, but we don't learn how to unlearn. I know about Clipper, I know assembly language, but if I'm going to start writing a project today in assembly language, I'll not even finish writing one single web page, which means I have to unlearn. I have to be very worried about optimizing code every single byte. Today, I can't ship an application on Android or iPhone. Shipping time to market is extremely important. So I have to unlearn a lot of things. I coded by hand. Today, I have GitHub Copilot to do coding. I can't say, oh, I don't use Copilot. I will still code. No, there's new languages coming in, new ways of running business are coming in, new ways of raising money is coming in. I have to learn all those. At the same time, I have to unlearn all the past things. If in this talk, I've been telling you about 20 ways in which my taxation went wrong, or what all I did, the ways I did taxation 20 years back, it's not going to be useful to you today, because the world of taxation has changed with GST and the other things that's coming today. Unlearning is very, very important. Lastly, you have to have fun, for which you have to read fiction, non-fiction, technology book, industry books, management books. When I say read, it can be, I know it's all YouTube videos and edX and other video-based learning. Wherever it is, read anywhere. All these are forms of learning. And travel, that's something I've personally, apart from blogging, that's something I've found it to de-stressing tool. You will be under tremendous amount of stress as an entrepreneur. So you need an outlet. Movies and travel are the ones I choose to de-stress myself. It could be sports, it could be singing, it could be music, it could be anything, but have a interest. Travel is something that has proven very useful to me also to also expand to those markets. So those are the 4 things that I will leave you with.